Okay, well, welcome everyone to the 6 o'clock Foundations class. My name is Nicole with Humbled Warriors Yoga. We miss you all so much, but we're so grateful that we get to spend time with you virtually. Know that we are here for you and for each other, and we're all going to get through this together, one day at a time, one moment at a time, and one practice at a time. So I'm just really grateful to be here with all of you tonight. And again, it's optional, but if you have a blanket, blocks, strap, you can incorporate those into tonight's practice, or you can sub those out for books, dish towel, just anything at all that might give you a little bit more accessibility for your practice. I've been having a lot of people asking me about like low back practices, like ways to help ease low back discomfort. And I know on our website we have a back care class that Stacy did that's really wonderful, so you can check that out too. Maybe this class and that class can be good practices for you to do routinely. And so, yes, so tonight I thought we are going to focus on some low back care. However, the way that we're going to do that is by stretching out our hamstrings and doing a little bit of gentle core work. So the thing about our lower back is it's kind of all connected. So our body's all one moving part, really. And so what happens is when we get really tight in our hamstrings, that adds pressure onto our lower back. So really focusing on opening up and softening the lower back, but also really opening and stretching through the hamstrings. Another addition to back care is a good solid core foundation. So your core is what supports your back and your spine, so it helps strengthen those areas. So when we have a relaxed core and we're not really engaging those muscles, that's also going to add stress and more pressure. It almost makes the lower back work even harder. So we want to think about our body as one moving part, and we have a full body experience with our practices, or we want to try to adapt to that, and everything's connected. So with that being said, if you have a blanket, go ahead and grab it, and we're going to start by having a seat on the blanket. You can roll it up to any level that feels comfortable to you, but just make sure that your hips are just slightly lifted, and again, you can just roll up a shower towel or anything at all. So as always, we just want to come into our practice with awareness, bringing some intention to that, whatever that might mean for you. So just come to a comfortable seated position on the blanket. You can have it rolled up, like I said, as much as you feel is needed for you. Allow the hands to rest gently on the top of the thighs or the knees. And feel free to close your eyes here if you're comfortable with that. If not, a gentle and soft gaze over the tip of the nose is fine. And just tap into your breath. If this is your first time on your mat today, or just your first time being able to step away from the hustle and bustle of the day, then welcome. And just take a moment to acknowledge, maybe even, when you're home by yourself, you can kind of get more playful in a way. So take advantage of this time to really talk to yourself with love and respect. Just silently say to yourself, I'm here for you. We're doing this. Anything is possible. Whatever it is that you want to say to yourself, love and respect, take a moment to do that now. Maybe even saying, I'm proud of you for showing up for yourself right now. It takes a lot of courage to show up and be a witness. That's what we do when we practice, is we become a witness to what's really going on. So breathing naturally here. Begin to become aware of the sensations of the breath. Feel the air enter into the lungs and then leaving the lungs. And begin to scan through the body, becoming aware of any tension you may be holding on to. I'm feeling a lot of tension in my face today. So I just really want to send some breath there and soften around my eyelids and cheekbones. Notice if there's any tightness and tension in the neck and shoulders. Send breath to those areas. Use the powerful tool of breath to find softness in rigid areas. Now beginning to deepen the breath, deeply breathing in through the nose, perhaps to the count of 3, then hold. Exhale, elongating the exhale, perhaps to the count of 4. Repeating that breath cycle about 4 or 5 times, really settling in. Feel the hips and legs grounding closer to the earth. Cycle of breath here. On an inhale, you can open the eyes and sweep the arms all the way up and over. Reach the fingertips up to the sky. On an exhale, bring the energy down to heart center, hands in prayer position. Inhale, lift the arms once more overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. And again, inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, hands to heart center. Take a deep breath in here. And on an exhale, bring the hands out in front and just begin to take a really soft and gentle sway and walk forward with your hands. Allow the gaze to come down to the floor. And then once you feel the urge to lift the tailbone, as if you would come up on the knees, I want you to stop and hold there. Coming into deep breathing in through the nose, and exhale, reach your fingertips, start to soften your heart space forward. If you need to bend the elbows, that's fine. This is also nice to incorporate a bed pillow here or another blanket. But just really breathe into the lower back here. And start to feel this connection as you grow more heavy into this fold. Start to feel this connection of your core. So as you're inhaling, see if you can draw the belly button in, almost like you're hugging your low ribs. And as you're doing that, you're softening in the lower body. Staying here for a couple of more breath cycles. last round of breath here. On an inhale, look up at your hands, and on an exhale, walk them all the way over to the right, just until you feel this slight, gentle stretch in the lower left side. Staying grounded in the left hip. Take a deep breath in, and on an exhale, sink into the fold. Lower the heart space, draw the belly button in. Allow the forehead to come closer to Mother Earth. I like to take these really gentle stretches where we hold in breath and use these as times to kind of count my blessings, if you will, or maybe make a small gratitude list in the mind. So much to be thankful for, even when things feel really difficult. Inhale, look up at your hands, and exhale, pass back through center as you walk the hands all the way over to the left side. Deep breath in, and exhale softens the heart space forward. Lower the forehead. Come back to the thought of something or many things that you are grateful for. Even the smallest bit of gratitude makes such a big difference. One more round of breath here. So you inhale. Look up at your hands. Exhale, come back through center. Deep breath in, exhale, lower down, even things out through center here. 2 deep breaths in and deep breaths out. And inhale, look up at your hands and gently walk your fingertips back to seated. And take a moment here to make any slight movements, maybe a couple of neck rolls, a little twist left and right, whatever you need. And then we're going to come seated here, just kind of turning to the side here. So we're going to bring the soles of the feet to the mat and bring the hands behind you and just begin to take this little windshield wiper type tick-tock with the knees left to right. You can walk the knees out wide if that feels good. Just play around with what feels best for you. Maybe even taking a moment to hold for 2 or 3 breaths on each side. Press away from the mat so you're not dumping all the way down. So really lifting in the heart space. I've noticed lately it's been really difficult for me to hold poses in stillness for a while. I took a yin class with Mitty the other night. It was like torture, but in a good way, because there's always something that you learn. Some days I can hold poses for 15 breaths, and some days I can barely make it through 2 or 3, so that's kind of part of the practice. It's just being aware of, hey, it's difficult for me to settle today. It doesn't mean that that's right or wrong. It's just kind of how it is that day. And I don't necessarily need to change it. It's always good to recognize. what's really going on. All right, so let's kind of take this little shimmy walk to come lying flat on our back. So slowly coming down to the elbow, moving the knees left to right. And then coming to lie flat on the back, soles of the feet on the mat, knees are pointing up to the sky. So bring the heels of the feet as close to your lower body as you can. But don't, strain it. Just kind of bring them a little closer in. And we're going to start doing some little kind of like pelvic tailbone tilts, if you will. So it's a small movement, but it makes a really big difference in your lower back. So basically what you're going to do is you're kind of pressing into the heel of your feet, and you just sort of tuck your tailbone under and rock your pelvis up just a little bit. You can bring the hands to the belly if that helps. Take a deep breath in here, squeeze everything in, and exhale, release. So we're not coming into this huge bridge pose. It's much more of a subtle movement, but it's a lot of awareness in this very sacred area here that has a lot of health and helping aids for keeping the low back strong. So we're going to keep doing this sort of pelvic tilt. We'll do it for about 5 breaths, but really connect to the sensations that you're feeling. So on an inhale, tuck your tailbone, press through the heels, and lift the hip bones. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. We'll do that 3 more times. As you lower down, I want you to kind of feel a slight arch in the lower back. So you're not trying to press your low back flush to the mat. You're trying to get like a tilt going. So inhale, press up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up. Exhale, lower. 1 more time here. Inhale, up. And exhale, lower. Back to the breath. Just take a moment and notice any of the sensations that you feel. That's a really nice, gentle practice to do, especially if you sit in a chair a lot. I had an office job for a really long time, and I would literally get on the floor in my office and do that a few times, and it helps build strength. So here we're going to come into some hamstrings opening. So leaving the feet where they are, soles on the mat, knees pointing up, we're going to lift the right leg here. So if you have a block or a strap or a book close by, feel free to use it. You don't have to, but it's an option. I'll show you how. So you can use a book or a block and place it behind the right hamstring. And then as we're breathing and taking inhales on the exhale, we're going to use the block or book to pull the leg closer in. If you don't have a block or book, that's fine. You can just interlace your fingertips behind the hamstring, the right hamstring, and use that to pull in. If you have a strap, you can place it around the sole of the feet and draw it inward. So here what our focus is in opening up the hamstring is we want to flex through the right foot. So your heel of your right foot is pointing up, so it's very active. It's very active but not rigid. You want to be able to breathe comfortably in this really deep stretch. So your hamstrings go from your back all the way down to behind your knees. So from here, we're going to take a deep breath in. On an exhale, draw the right leg inward. So depending on how open or tight you are in your hamstrings is going to depend on the amount of space you're going to have. So I'm really tight in my hamstrings lately, so I don't really have as much space as I might sometimes, and that's okay. Take another deep breath in, and on an exhale, draw the right leg closer in. You can even take a little time to sort of massage through the hamstring. That's another thing about a home practice that's good. You can do all kinds of weird stuff and nobody's watching. So just like really feel the opening. Use the breath to breathe into this stretch. Again, deep breath in, exhale, draw it a little closer in. Slight bend in the knee is okay. Now begin to bend the knee. Take your right hand and reach for the outside of your right foot. So we're coming into a half happy baby. If the space is not available for your right hand to come all the way to the outer edge of the foot, that's fine. You can keep your hands on your ankles, on your shins. You can keep your left hand on the calf and then place your right hand on top of the thigh. Again, just play around, get curious with what works best for you, because we're going to be hanging out here for a few breaths. Another thing to keep in mind is don't let the left knee start to go out to the right. Keep it in line with the hips. Take a deep breath in, on an exhale. Bring the knee closer to the earth. If it feels good to add a little sway to the right leg, you can do that. Kind of massaging through the hip joints here. I'm going to be here for 3 more breaths. Stay soft in the face. On an inhale, we're going to come into a recline twist. So keeping a bend in the knee, use your left hand to guide your right knee all the way over to the left side. So both knees are kind of bent here. We're going to extend through with the right arm, looking over our right shoulder. So if you need to bring, like I said, a blanket or anything to rest the right knee on, you can. Make any adjustments and movements that feel really good for you. We're going to stay here for 3 deep breaths. And then on an inhale, come back to your center. Draw both knees into the chest now. Rock a little side to side. And then pause in the center for stillness. Release the soles of the feet to the mat. And we'll begin on the second side. Just gonna throw my blanket over here. All right, so lifting now with the left leg. Flex through the heel, stay active in the left foot. And I can already tell I'm a lot more open in my right hamstring than I am in my left. So that's very common. I know you guys hear me say that all the time. Again, we're just a witness. We're not a judge or critic. So we just notice it. And when I say notice it, I say that because when there's areas of excessive tightness and like rigid movement, that's where I notice in the breath too. If I don't know what needs help, if I don't know what needs the power of the breath, If I'm not aware of that, then I'm not going to be able to offer healing to those areas. So again, find what variation of this works for you. And once you arrive there, breathe into it. And on the exhale, draw the left leg closer to the body. Massaging through the hamstring during this first breath if that feels good. Deep breath in, exhale, draw the left leg closer in. And again, come back to this awareness of the core. Can I have this full body connection here? So I'm opening up here through the hamstring. I'm active in my core, strengthening my back. Deep breath in. Exhale, draw it in. When you're ready, coming into half happy baby. Bend at the knee, reach up for the outer edge of the left foot or keep the hands on the shin. Take a deep breath in and exhale, draw the knee down. Don't lose awareness of your right knee. Make sure it's not bowing out to the right. Add a sway here if that feels good. Keep sending breath where it's needed. You're really experiencing a lot of lower back discomfort, these are good opportunities in these long holds, these deep breaths, to really send blessings of healing to that area, to really believe that the breath can offer healing and comfort. Even if we don't believe it, after we practice that technique for a while, it proves itself true in spite of what we may think we know. A couple of more breaths here. Release into the twist. So using the right hand this time to guide the left knee all the way over. So we're going to lower the left knee to the right side and the right knee to the right side. Extend through the left hand. You can keep the right hand on top of the left knee. You can bring a blanket under the left knee if that feels good. Find what feels best and settle in for a few rounds of breath here. Gaze over your left shoulder. I hear everyone mowing their yard in my neighborhood right now. Like the soundtrack of the real world. It's a good practice to actually, we can't always have like meditative flutes and sounds of flowing water in the background, that sometimes we just have to learn to put these practices into use in a very practical way. Inhale, release back through center. Draw both knees into the chest. Rock side to side. Now, depending on your level of comfort, you can rock up to seated, or you can roll over on your side and come up to seated. It's whatever you feel like. If you like to do a rock, I would suggest doing a couple of those, massaging through the spine. If you're experiencing a lot of low back discomfort, maybe avoid that and come into a seated posture with a little bit more ease and grace, if you will. So from seated, we're actually going to come into some cat-cow postures here. So sitting in a cross-legged position, you can bring a blanket under the hips if you want. But breathing into a tall spine, lift through the crown of the head. And on an exhale, you're going to tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, hang heavy off of the knees. We're going to stay here for a couple of rounds of breath. Really feel the tailbone tucking under and breathe life into the lower back. Opening up through the shoulders, feel the skin stretching on the back body. Keep breathing here. One more round of breath. And on your next inhale, lift the heart space forward, gently tilting it over the ankles. Slight lift in the chin, gentle gaze up, soft bend in the elbows. Seated cow. Exhale, take it back, seated cat. Breathe here and hold. Really tuck the chin to the chest here. Tilt the tailbone. Just let go. On your next inhale, rise up once more, seated cow. Exhale, take it back, one more seated cat. Inhale back here, center. Coming into all fours now. Once again, you can always use a blanket to pad the knees. I personally like to do that because I get, depending on how much I've practiced that day, can get a little discomfort in my knees. So, coming into tabletop position here, we're going to now do those same cat-cow postures, but from tabletop. So keeping with alignment, we want shoulders directly over wrists, fingertips spread wide, pressing away from the mat. Begin to bring focus to the core here. Draw the belly button in. Feel what happens to the lengthening of the spine as you press away from the mat and engage your belly button. Your hips are directly over your knees and the gaze is down. Soft pressure in the tops of the feet. On an inhale, lower the belly and lift the heart space forward. Gentle lift in the chin and a gentle gaze up to the sky. Exhale, tuck the chin, roll through the spine, press away from the mat. Inhale, lower cow. Exhale, rounding through cat. Inhale, lower once more. Exhale, round it out. Inhale, back through center. So coming into a little bit of core work, we're going to end with some core work too, but just to incorporate it into practice. You can really do this kind of bird dog variation with any practice. Anytime you're doing cat-cow, you can kind of add this in a few times to get a little extra core strengthening. So what we're going to do, oh, and it also helps open the hamstrings a little bit more too. So we're going to tuck the right toes, slide the right foot back, find a little bounce, Press through the ball of the feet, send energy out through the heels, and then pause for stillness. Breathe into the stretch in the back of the leg, and then inhale, shift the weight forward. Lift the right leg, engage the belly button, feel the spine lengthen, and extend through the left arm. Gaze is down, breath is strong. One more deep breath in, deep breath out, and release. Other side, tuck the left toes in, slide it back, find a bounce. Pause for stillness, breathe into the back of the leg. Inhale, shift the weight forward, lift the left leg and extend through the right arm. Draw the belly button in once more. Feel what happens when you actively draw the belly button in. You lengthen through the spine and you gain more balance. Deep breath in and deep breath out. One more deep breath in and exhale, release. Take a deep breath in here and exhale, send the hips back, reach the fingertips forward, lower and snuggle into a child's pose variation. So this can look different for everyone. You can have big toes to touch, knees spread wide, send the hips back. Fingertips extended forward. You can bring the knees together, send the hips back, wrap the arms around, settle in. Find your version of this child's pose. And settle in with a couple of breaths. Open up through the back body. Soften in the mind. Inhale, rise back up, tabletop. So from here, we're going to, however it works best for you, we want to bring our right foot to the top of the mat. So if you need to kind of take a little turn and swing the hip around, that's fine. If you just want to step it up, any way at all that works best for you. Again, if you have blocks and you want to use them here, you can, or books work just fine. And honestly, you can kind of use anything. Like you could use, soup cans or something. Really just anything that can bring the floor a little closer to your hands if you need it. So we're coming into this kind of a runner's lunge. So if you have blocks, you can frame the front foot with them. If not, that's fine too. So fingertips to mat, take a deep breath in, gazes down. On an exhale, send the right hip back and flex through your right heel. So it's almost like you're pointing your right big toe to your heart space. So you're kind of sending the left hip up and you're pressing the right hip back. So you want to stay square in the hips. So you should feel a big opening in the hamstring here and an opening in the lower back. So gaze is down, take a deep breath in. On an exhale, bend at the elbows, tuck the chin to the chest, find depth. Once more, we don't want to force it. We just want to breathe into it here. Inhale, release, come back up. Step it back through tabletop. And then bring your left foot up to the top of the mat. Once you've arrived, find your foundation, take a deep breath in, and on an exhale, send the left hip back, flex through the heel of the left foot, and draw the right hip forward. Deep breath in, on an exhale, find depth, tuck the chin to your chest. One more deep breath here. Inhale, rise up. Send it back to tabletop. Take a child's pose if you want to. Inhale, rise back up to tabletop. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come into sort of a half frog variation. I think I've done this with you guys before. So if you have a blanket, it's going to be great to use that, or a towel or anything at all. You can do it without it. But what I want to do is I'm going to start on my right side so that I can show you how to get started. So we're going to come into tabletop here. And we're going to place the right knee at this kind of, what is that, like a 45-degree angle here. And then we're going to extend through the left leg. So we have this bend in the right knee, and you can bring it onto the blanket. And you can adjust the setting of this blanket as much as you need to, depending on how tight you are in the hips and the hamstrings. So once you've arrived on your mat in this half frog variation, the first thing you'll notice is it's very easy to dump into the shoulders and just kind of crunch down here. We don't want to do that. So how do we avoid that? So we avoid that by pressing into the elbows, maybe even interlace the fingertips. So pressing into the elbows, flexing through and pointing with the left toes. Draw the belly button in. So you're opened up through the heart, gazes forward. Soften in the right leg. Keep a slight activation in the right foot. And breathe into this lower back stretch. So we're kind of like somewhere between like a cobra and a frog. Lots of animal postures in yoga. Keep awareness and pressing in through the elbows, staying active in the heart space. Deep breath in and deep breath out. One more deep breath in. Deep breath out. And gently transition to lie flat on the belly. Allow the forehead to rest on the top of the hands. And just take a moment to connect to any sensations you're experiencing in the body and the mind right now. Settle in. A little bit goes a long way. And look how much you've showed up for yourself so far. On an inhale, come back. Press the body back up to tabletop. Setting up for half frog on the second side. If you have a blanket, go ahead and get that ready. Find yourself In the position, extend through the right leg. Place the left calf and left knee on top of the blanket. Pointing through the right toes, active in the right leg. Press into the elbows. Open up the heart. Gaze is forward. Slightly active in the left foot. Keep breathing here. Come back to that sense of breath being a healing agent for low back discomfort, and breathe into that area. Draw the belly button in. Two more big breaths here. On an inhale, begin to transition to lie flat on the belly. Extend out through both legs. Once more, allow the third eye to rest on the top of the hands. Maybe move the hips from left to right. Allow the ankles to fall open. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Inhale, press it back up. Tabletop. Then we're going to gently transition to lie flat on the back once more. Check the time here. Yep. So we're going to end with a couple of gentle core exercises. So these are really accessible, and you can just take a few minutes throughout the day to do these, like 5 to 10 minutes. I actually do this like while my daughter's doing homeschool. She has these like 10-minute breaks. So I'll just kind of take that time and try to do a little bit of core practices. So again, keeping this idea that a little bit goes a long way, we have to start somewhere, you know, so give yourself the grace of beginning a core routine every day. And you'll build up to longer periods of time, but in a short amount of time, you're going to really start to notice how it affects strengthening your lower back. And then you'll crave it more. So it'll kind of be this cycle of encouragement, like, yeah, that does work. And so once we realize something works and we're receiving benefit from it, that gives us this desire to continue to show up for it. So, soles of the feet on the mat. We're just going to do some basic crunches here, or just some like abdominal crunches here. So you're going to bring the fingertips just to the outside of the ears. So what we're not going to do, I'm going to show you what we're not doing first. We're not going to bring the elbows in and crunch up and try to do this like really powerful core exercise, right? So a lot of times, like what we think looks really strong really isn't strengthening. Like, especially if you're bringing a yogic perspective to like abdominal and core routines, it's really the strengthening our mind to focus and send a lot of intention to the area that we're wanting to strengthen, and bringing a sense of purpose. So our purpose here in doing core activation and a core routine is we want to stay strong and healthy in our lower back. And so if we want a strong, healthy lower back, and we want to strengthen our core. And we can do that in a really loving and mindful way without being judged, practicing poor judgment of our body or focusing on body image. It can really all have a purpose, and we can do it with a lot of love and respect for our bodies. So we're going to bring the fingertips to the outer edge of the ear. So you just kind of like touch, sort of like massage the scalp a little bit. So you're just really holding your head with your fingertips here. So allow your head to just become slightly lifted off the mat so you can feel the weight of your head on your fingertips. Your elbows are going to stay pointed out to the side the whole time. We're not drawing them in. So imagine there's a spot on the ceiling above you, and you want your chin to touch that spot. So on an inhale, you lift up with your chin as if you're trying to touch the ceiling with your chin. You're going to feel your core activate here, and you're going to hold here, and exhale, release. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, release. Continue to move up, pointing the chin up. So the throat is very open here. We can breathe easy. We hold. We feel this activation. It's like all of our abdominal muscles are squeezing in and hugging our ribs. You might even start to feel a little bit of shake here, and that's good. That means that you're working. Exhale, release. Inhale, come up, hold, feel a little shake. Exhale, release. We're going to do that 5 more times. Inhale, come up, hold, feel a little shake. You're so strong. Exhale, release. Inhale, up. Exhale, release. 2 more times. Inhale, come up. Lift the shoulders off the mat. Point the chin up. Exhale, release. Last time. Inhale, up. And exhale, release. Beautiful. Allow the soles of the feet to come together and the knees fall wide if that feels good. Bring the hands just over the belly. You can rub through the belly, make small circles. Softening here. 1 more core exercise, and that will conclude our practice. All right, so soles of the feet back to the mat. This is one of my favorite little fun things to do. So inhale, lift the shins up to the ceiling. So our shins are going to be parallel to the ceiling. So we're going to imagine that there are 2 little bowls or puddles of water under our feet. And we want to tip our big toe in the water and then lift it on each side. So what we're doing is we want to tuck the tailbone up. So already here, before we even move, we can activate the core. We can feel this activation as we tilt the tailbone up. Bring the hands down by your side or out wider. If it feels good, if you want a little bit more challenge, you can keep the chin lifted. And then begin to inhale, dip the toe, exhale, lift. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So moving back and forth between the right toe and the left toe. Just do these little dips here. You might even begin to feel a little bit of a shake, and that's okay. Really focus on drawing the belly button into the spine and tucking the tailbone. A couple of more times like this. Again, these are really accessible. You can do these anytime. A little bit goes a long way. Think about it. If you did these like throughout the day, if you did like 20 throughout the day, you gave yourself, you could end up doing, I don't know, 100, depending on how many times you wanted to do it. So a couple of more times like this. And then pause, bring both knees into the heart. Breathe deep, rock side to side. And when you're ready, transition to your version of Shavasana. So there's so many different versions of this. We can extend the legs out long, allow the feet to fall open like a book, hands down by your side, palms facing up. You can bring the soles of the feet together. One hand on heart, one hand on belly. Whatever serves you in this moment for your Shavasana. Find it and begin to relish in the stillness. Maybe coming back to the beginning of your practice and revisit any discouraging thoughts you may have and take a moment to acknowledge the work that you've just done. That in spite of feeling discouraged, we can still move forward. Continue to breathe here, become heavy into the earth. Begin to reawaken the body when you're ready with gentle movements of the fingers and toes, subtle rotations of wrists and ankles, coming into a full body stretch. Oh, maybe even a yawn. When you're ready, coming over to the right side, cradling your head onto the right arm. Bring the left hand to the earth and settle in here for a couple of breaths. The hardest part of today's practice was showing up. And we did that, you did that, you showed up. Allow your next inhale to gently and sweetly bring you back up to a comfortable seated position. Bring the hands to meet at heart center as you bow to the light of your heart. Allow the energy that you've created to move and recharge through your body and your psyche. This concludes our practice for the evening. May all beings be free. Namaste. Thank you all so much. If you have any questions or comments about tonight's practice, please reach out to me or anyone at the studio. So until we meet again, my friends, I love you all and namaste.